I have also been very tired and was up early, not as early as 4:30, but I have had a full day of work. So we're probably going to do some rambling.
I like that. The more rambling, the better.
Oh, really? Okay. Fully rambled.
All right.
You ready to ramble?
Ramble.
Let's get ready to ramble. Awesome. Dong. Dong.
Dougal, are you recording yet?
I am recording, yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what's brown and sounds like a bell?
A brown bell.
Dung. That's a good old joke.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Oh, there was one someone told me today.
What's brown and
it's
sounds
not.
like a bell?
I don't know. What is brown and sounds like
Dung.
I just offended. Speaking of being offended, welcome to the Ancient Robot Games podcast. As always, I am Dougal.
And I am Gelb.
And there's our gong, which means it is the
Ramble duty time.
It is time for us to ramble about games that have been out this year, games that have been out recently. This is our ostensibly festive episode. That's the train of festivities.
I was trying to go for like
You were doing
like bells.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, it sounded more like you were going for the old Coca-Cola advert with the polar bears. The something is coming.
I don't remember. Friday the 13th.
There we are. It's
None of us know what
Everybody-
Gelb was on about.
I think that means that it's opens minds, opens doors, closes doors,
Opens hearts.
jumps through windows.
Got you. So yeah, this is our festive rambling episode where we will ramble festively about games that stuff that's happening, games that are out. Any of you expecting a wonderfully fancy guest here? I do apologize. There is no guest. It is just me and Gelb.
Maybe we'll have a
talking about
surprise.
games.
We don't know.
We might have a surprise guest. If it is, they're breaking through the door and neither of us have any idea that they're actually going to arrive, which will be very exciting, but also kind of scary. So, this has been a crazy year for board games. 2025 has been kind of awesome. There's been a bunch of really, really interesting things coming out, with a bunch of interesting things being planned to come
What are
out
your
as well.
favorites?
Favorites is tough. So there's a lot of games that were out this year. I'm going to probably skew a lot towards the second half of the year because my brain don't work good. And the first half of the year is a little bit of a blur. But there was some very cool things that I did see in the first half of the year at the UK Games Expo. I would like to have a shout out to Power Vacuum, which is a very, very clever trick-taking game.
So it didn't suck?
It did. I think we talked about it already, and you already did that joke. So I'm going to skip over it. But it was great. Really enjoyed that. There have been some bigger releases by bigger companies, which I very much enjoyed too.
The Volcano game.
The Volcano game, Wrath of Fire Mountain, by Eric Lang and Phil Walker
Harding.
That's the ones. That's been edited. So that was actually really, really great. Very accessible, but also a really enjoyable game to play. Some of the other bigger releases, like Sanctuary, which is the kind of sequel, maybe slightly lighter version of Ark Nova, which is a fantastic game where you're getting lots of animals, but it is very large. And this is kind of like more of a tile placement-based version of this. It's, I think, slightly easier to get into. A lot of good two-player games came out this year, however. But I think this year has also been the year of fantastic Lord of the Rings games. Ones I would like to highlight for sure was the Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game. This is based off a similar system to a game called The Crew. Trick-taking game is where one person plays a card, usually of a suit, and if you have that suit, you have to play that card and follow through. If you don't, you can play any card, and usually the highest number will win that trick, and there might be a trump suit or something. Usually these are competitive games, and they're played by winning the most amount of tricks. But the crew and this new one, the Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game, is played cooperatively instead. And what's really interesting is you get to see your hand of cards first, and then you get to pick which character you are. And you only succeed if you all complete the kind of missions that your characters have. So, for example, you only have 1s and 2s in your hand. Well, then you pick Pippin, because he will succeed in his mission if he wins the fewest amount of tricks that round.
Right.
And you're aware of what everyone's character is and how you're trying to do it, but you're not allowed to communicate about any of the cards you have in your hand. You simply have to play them and work out what other people have based upon the restriction of what they had been playing. So that one was really clever, particularly because you were working through all the different chapters. Each one added in maybe a couple new mechanics, swapped out what characters you could play as, and it's absolutely beautiful and in a small box as well, which was really, really great. The other Lord of the Rings one that I'd like to highlight massively would be the Fate of the Fellowship. Again, another cooperative game. This is made by Matt Leacock, which is the person who created Pandemic. Truly great. Really enjoyed it. It has this massive map with a whole bunch of colored lines and arrows on it. It is very confusing to look at first. However, you do have that once you start playing it, you realize what things you have to focus on. You're playing as two separate characters. At kind of the same time, on your turn, you're acting as 4 actions with one and 1 action with a different one, but you choose which one that is every turn. And you can interact with the other people playing in their characters and help them through different scenarios or gain different sort of resources to use throughout the game. There's also a big, horrible, negative bad guy deck that will be flipped over, and depending on what happens, depends on what's the back of the previous card. A bunch of dice, you're rolling through a big Saruman or Eye of Sauron dice tower, and then the bad guys move, and they are wonderful, tiny little orc meeples that are, half the size of a fingernail, and there's loads of them, so you can have like 20 and just slide them across from one place to another. There's also big fancy Nazgul sort of miniatures. They're not massive, but they're done and stacked in a certain way on their bases so that you can have several of them on the same place at the same time. You're doing things like creating a battle somewhere, not because you're going to win, but because you need the Eye of Sauron to move over so you can sneak Frodo and Sam down the side to try and get them into Mordor. Really great game. Definitely took a little bit to learn, but not too much, I would say. Took a decent amount of time to play. I think our first game was roughly 3 hours. Wow. But it has this thing with a lot of things being based on dice rolls of like big, that kind of hero moments that you get in games. That thing of, we need that one thing to happen. I think the one time we won that game, it is very hard to win, was when we needed certain things to come up on rolling 7 dice, and we needed 5 out of those 7 to be correct. And we got 6 of them. But it was a 1 in 6 chance for each of the dice, and we were kind of throwing stuff at the dark, hoping like hell it was going to work, and it did, and we all kind of jumped out of our seats and started kind of shouting in joy. Really fun to play. The other one is The Hobbit, There and Back Again, which is a Reiner Knizia roll and write game, which is very cleverly done, playing through essentially a storybook of The Hobbit, where each page that you're flipping over is a little kind of white, clean whiteboard marker based thing where you're rolling a set of dice, and then everyone is using the symbols from those dice or choosing one to use in different times to move through the board, solving the little problems that are happening within the adventure that you're in, whether you're being attacked by wolves in the forest or whether you are trying to sneak through Smaug's treasure to try and find the Arkenstone. It's really, really nicely put together, and as with a lot of Reiner Knizia's games, sort of very cleanly made, where everything in it makes logical sense, and it has also some of the most beautiful art. The final one that is out soon, but I don't know if it's out yet, is the reprint/remake of Lord of the Rings Confrontation, which is a 2-player only game where you have these wonderfully ornate sort of portrait style standees, which have your different characters in them. Only you see what your characters are, they see what theirs are, and you're trying to move them across the board. Sort of evil team is trying to kill the good guys, the good team is trying to sneak past and get to Mordor. But when something attacks something else, that is when you see what they are, and they might have different abilities based on ambushing. If someone does attack you, maybe you're putting something in a vulnerable space because you can take them out, or maybe you're taking a bit of a risk and moving things past. It has this almost chess-like feel to it. So I think that is also beautiful and a very, very cool game. This year for Lord of the Rings games has been absolutely massive, and all of them I think have hit really well, with the sequel for the trick-taking game coming out next year as well, the Two Towers, which is also looking fantastic.
And a decent year for Scottish-based board game, designers. Old King's Crown has come out this year.
Old King's Crown.
The Deep Regrets came out this year.
Yes, huge for Tactics games and for Eerie Idle games, for sure. And Old King's Crown particularly has been just getting higher and higher ratings.
Yeah.
I think even before it was out, it was really highly rated on Board Game Geek. And since it has been released, which is about a month ago from time of recording, it has raised up to an 8.2, which probably means nothing to most of the people listening here, but it's an aggregate score of a bunch of people putting stuff into Board Game Geek. And that rising so highly after release is quite rare, I think, with a lot of games. Usually something has a lot of hype behind it, then it releases, and maybe there's a few more people who dislike it, so it kind of drops a bit, or maybe a lot of the rating is done by marketing of people being interested in it, but not actually having played it through. This seems to be rising in its rating quite a lot, and 8.2 is very, very high with this massive aggregate score. So really, really pleased for Pablo and Andrew, particularly, who are the main designers of it, who we've had on the podcast before.
I know Dark Deeds was re-released. Decent showing.
Yeah, it's great to see Rookery Publications being able to get that out into people's hands, and it's been a joy to have being played a lot in the shop as well. One of my favorites to get out in front of people for sure. Yeah, there's loads of really, really clever mechanical games, I think, that have come out this year as well. There's a lot of games that are using mechanics or things that have been out in many games before, but in a different way, which has really kind of pumped them up in my estimation after playing them. I think this trick-taking mechanics is quite common now in a lot of board games. It's become more and more popular, I think partly worldwide, due to the act of playing it is really, you need some cards and that's about it. So it's quite easy to set up. And
Staying power of bridge.
Yeah, exactly. It's got the kind of things that can keep it going.
Whist, bridge.
Which need to be said in that accent, otherwise they're not real games. I think we can all agree.
Hey, are you playing some whist?
No, I'm playing some bridge. Yeah. But I think with trick-taking in particular, I think it's expanded into some really interesting games. There's one that was completely underrated, by my opinion, which was not seen by as many people as I wanted to, in a very tiny box called Farmhand, which is a really clever trick-taking game. Just numbers 1 to 7.
I imagine.
Sorry?
Anyway, different.
Legless?
You play it legless.
Because it's called Farmhand.
Yeah.
I apologize to all of our listeners for hearing these terrible...
What do you mean? I haven't touched a drop.
It's whist!
I mean, you don't have any legs. Oh, right.
Right.
Anyway,
Farmhand.
that was a Blackadder quote.
It was great. It was good. Everyone got it. As I mentioned, Farmhand. It's a tiny little orange box, a trick-taking game, numbers 1 to 7, and also I think 8 different colors of suits. The real clever thing about this is that the suits themselves are asymmetric. So, for example, the blue color has numbers 1 to 7. There's only one of each card in there. But you can see the backs of people's cards. When you see them, you can see that the backs of someone's card might be blue. You know that is numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. The orange one only has number 2 and a number 7. So there's only 2 of them in the deck. You can see the back of someone's orange card. It's either a 2 or a 7. So with that trick-taking mechanic, if you're playing a card, if someone has a color, they have to follow suit. Well, you can see what colors they have. But if they don't, they can play offsuit, and the highest number will win. So maybe they have a 7 on a different thing, but you don't exactly know. And the really clever thing is you get different numbers of cards each round, 1 the first round, 2 the second round, so on. And after you've seen your cards, which you know what number it is, and the backs of everyone else's cards, you know the possibilities of these cards, you then have to bet on how many tricks you're going to win. Now, if you do win the same amount of tricks that you said you were going to, even if it's 0, you get some victory points based upon the round that you are in. But if you are wrong, you get negative victory points based upon the difference between what you said you were going to win and what you have actually won. So maybe you say you're going to win 0 tricks, and then you get forced to win 1 trick. Well, you're getting a -1 point. And this comes even more into it with the fact that if people play cards of the same number, they cancel each other out. So this means even if you do have a hand of 1s and 2s, you think you're going to win 0 tricks, you bet you're going to win 0 tricks. Well, the other people have cards, one of them plays a 7, well, that's the highest one that's going to be there, and then someone else plays a 7. Well, the one that you have played at the start has now won you that trick in a 3-player game, and you are now forced to win a trick which you didn't want to, which other people have pushed you to do. So there's a wonderful back and forth with it. Only plays over 6 rounds, and it's super clean and super clever. And as I say, one that was very, very kind of underrated, I think, or at least underseen within the board games industry.
And you, of course, went to Japan.
I did.
You found some really cool games that you shared previously. Any that stick with you?
100%. One of them I was just about to mention, actually, which is Jiraku. Also using this trick-taking mechanic. This is one that I never thought we would actually see in the UK that came in last week, which I'm really, really pleased for. It is a trick-taking game, but actually it's a small area control game. So what you're doing is you are using trick-taking mechanics, so having cards number 1 to 6 of different colors, and you will be playing them as part of this trick thing. So someone plays a color, you follow suit with that color, highest number is going to win that trick, and they're going to get some victory points. However, when you play that card, number 1 to 6, that allows you to place troops down in an area of that number. For example, you play down a number 3, well, you can put down 0 to 3 troops. In fact, even a number 4, you could put down 0 to 3 troops, and you can place them in the region of 4. And you want to have a majority of troops in there. Or when you play that card, you can use it as 4 action points. And you use those action points to move troops around into adjacent regions, possibly move your large Daimyo piece, or use an action point to remove one of your opponent's pieces from that area with your giant action piece. This means it becomes so many decisions within all the decision of playing one card, and that's not even involved with the trick-taking thing. It sounds overwhelming, but it's actually very straightforward to play because all you're doing is playing, I think, 3, maybe 4 cards around, and you are trying to find the best fit, move your troops around to different things whilst dealing with the limited amount of troops you actually have to put on the board. Maybe you've gone too far and placed too many troops in one area, and now it's going to take you so many turns to move them down, and everyone else is taking over those areas. It's really, really clever, and it's a delight to see this trick-taking mechanic not just used in a very straightforward manner of, well, this is a trick-taking game, but I think even things like in bigger games, later games, is Arcs also was using trick-taking mechanics, but to do a different, almost 4X style taking over planets and using diplomacy and things like that. But the mechanics there were like rolling dice, you know? It's like using dice in a game to help you do it, but the game isn't a dice game. The dice are just used to help you manipulate the environment and make something more of it. So real big fan of Jiraku. I think that was really great to see.
Yeah, there's so many that have been like coming out, and what's that? Sorry? Is it something? Who's there? Oh. Well.
So the uncomfortable silence at the end of that. Was this leading to something, Gelb?
I'm gonna try it again.
The laughter is Ryan Scott, our editor.
What's that noise? Do you hear that, Dougal? I think we have somebody at the door. Come in. Ho, 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 ho.
So, anyone listening to this, yes, that physically hurt. Hey, Santa, what have you got for us?
Hi there, Dougal. I don't know why I sound like this, but I'm choosing to. Why don't you tell us what's...
No, I can't do it. Sorry. I wanted to try really hard.
You tried really hard. Don't worry. I don't know whether that's going to be cut or not.
We had a whole plan. We had a whole plan of maybe he wants to come out again.
No. Okay, so
Hi there, Dougal.
yes, Kermit?
No.
This is only going to be funny to us. Everyone else is like, stop laughing. This is dope.
Sam the Eagle as Father Christmas.
Yeah.
What games?
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can try.
It's all right.
Miss Piggy is Father Christmas?
Sure, do it.
Dougal?
Was that Miss Piggy?
It was supposed to be.
Oh, it was close. It's when Miss Piggy and Scooby-Doo had a baby.
Oh, yeah.
It was very uncomfortable for everyone involved. Yep.
Well, if Father Christmas wasn't right now on the ground choking on a stick, he would be asking, Dougal, what would be the kinds of games...
Santa? Why is he
did it
choking
to
on a
himself if he
stick?
can't sit up here and actually have a conversation? If he's just going to laugh the whole time,
Okay.
then, he can sit there and choke for a little while.
Okay,
It's all right. Yeah. I'm pissed off. We organized this. We paid him in advance, and he's come here and just ruined the whole bit.
We should have paid him in money instead.
Exactly. There's the problem. Thinking about the holiday season.
Yes,
Dougal.
I am thinking about
There are a lot of games currently in the shop, but also like relatively new. I was just in there today. Quite a lot of new things that seem to be popping up. And I know that there are even more that are coming. But are there specific games that people might want to think about during the holiday season as, whether it's for themselves or gifts that they might not have heard of before? We talked about some of these big games throughout the year, but there's some really, really cool ones that you've showed me recently that I think are worth checking out. Which ones are tickling your fancy the most?
Ooh, well, my fancy is being tickled particularly is a game called Enthrone. Anyone who has been into the shop recently has probably heard me talk about Enthrone.
It's Chunky Boy.
You
can hear it.
Delightful is what it is.
So everyone at home can know exactly how big it is from that.
Yeah. Enthrone is a really clever two-player game. Earlier in the year, I was very much talking about
Very fun.
elegance and simplicity in game design. And I think Enthrone hits the purest form of that. This is a 15 to 20-minute game, two-player only. It has wonderful 3-inch tall kind of busts of different characters. And it's played with a really interesting thing of you are secretly one of these characters. You know which one, your opponent doesn't, but they are also secretly one of them as well. Your goal is to move your character into the center space or to capture your opponent's piece. Or if you can capture 3 specific quarries, which are pieces as well, then you will be able to win the game. The clever thing about this is that your actions aren't to just choose whoever you want to act with. Instead, there's a little track on the side. You will choose a character to act with as long as it's in the top part of that track, in which case it will move to the bottom of the track and slide up, which means it's now locked for several turns until more actions are done. When you're capturing things, it can only be in the top 2 spaces of this track as well. So you're constantly maneuvering these things to get them into the best position possible while not trying to give away which piece you are. If you're capturing things off the board, you're capturing your quarries, so you're trying to win the game with that. But the more quarries you capture, the more information you're giving your opponent about which piece you actually are and how they can work against it. It's delightful.
Great fun.
It is really, really good. Very clever. It's a game I think almost anyone can learn. And it has that long-term kind of chess-like feel to it of like, this is clever, I can play it again and again, and it does take a very short amount of time to play. It's one I've talked to a lot of people, and I don't think anyone I've taught the game to has been like, I don't think that's very good. Everyone has really enjoyed it, and it's one of those few ones where I found it online and read the rules and thought that sounded really good, and as soon as I played it, I realized how special it was. And it's still one that is not really heard of by anyone. I think it has very few reviews online for what it is. All of those reviews are very highly rated, but there's so few of them that it's not really known. And it's a second game by a wonderful designer called Sawyer West, who comes from a chess background. And it's really interesting to see them use that, obviously the ideas and the kind of feeling that they've had with this chess background to make a game that feels so unique, despite also feeling a little like chess with that abstract nature. It's a delight. I'm such a big fan of it, and published by Smirk and Dagger, who are a wonderful company as well. So yeah, Enthroned has been a recent real joy. The other one I want to mention is Lightspeed Arena. Now, this is one I heard of a long time ago. Really clever, very pretty game. This is a super quick game as well. 5-10 minute game. It's really, really straightforward, but it has something that is rarely used in games, and much rarer is the fact that it works really well and on purpose, which is the fact that this game has an app that runs it.
Usually when that happens, you're like, oh gosh.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, why are you doing that? Right. Why are you not just making a computer game or something else like that? What does this add to the experience? A Lightspeed Arena is a fantastic one where you've got your little base that is played, and it's played on any table at all. It kind of scales to any size of table that you can do. It says roughly you want to be about this size, but you can do it bigger if you would like, or smaller, depending on how things work. And what you will have is your base, and you will have certain amount of rounds, depending on what spaceships you're going to be playing down, and you will have 10 seconds to place down spaceships which fire lasers off in various directions off these little square tiles that they have. So you're trying to judge those directions of where it's going to go. You'll have 10 seconds quickly to place something, and then so will other people. And then you will keep going around until you're placing more and more spaceships down on the board. And at the end, you will then take your phone and you will use the app and take a picture of everything that has been placed down, which is usually quite a lot of things. And then the app will then go through it and show you where all your lasers are firing, taking the different times for the different numbers of ships that are there, and destroy other people's spaceships, destroy their bases. If you're anything like me, destroying your own base by mistake consistently, you haven't angled it right, or you've angled it and it's bounced off something else and it's gone the other way. It is one which does have manual scoring. You can do it without the app at all. It just takes a little bit longer. But there's something truly amazing about having such a limited time. Oh, quick, I've got to place that thing down. They're going to place it down there. Everyone else doing the same. And then having that kind of ramp up in energy, then followed by the, oh God, and now we can see how this big space battle's gone, and that destroyed that before it could destroy that, which means that I've been hit by that. Oh, and then it shows you the points you've got. It's really clever to have something that is so instantly accessible for anyone to play, but also genuinely different. I haven't seen something use an app like this for this kind of scoring side of stuff outside of doing something in playing a game in Board Game Arena or playing a game using Tabletop Simulator, something that's already built and you're playing the entire game online. This actually makes the most of both the physical space and the digital space with what it's doing. I think it's really, really clean, and I think it's a delight. It's one that is not going to take over my games night. It's going to be a game that I will play a couple of times and then we'll go on, maybe move on to a bigger game or something else like that. But that fun is very instantaneous with it, and it's easy to see why it's enjoyable as well. Bunch of other cool things that just came in. The Dorfmantic Light Luggage is a much smaller version of the, I think it was 2023 Spiel des Jahres, so Game of the Year Essen. Dorfmantic is a wonderful co-op game where you're playing down tiles, trying to complete stuff together, opening up new boxes of things by making different points and all the other stuff that comes with it. Dorfmantic Light Luggage is basically a much smaller version of that in a smaller box, much more accessible because of that, I think. And also, it counts as having a couple of expansions for the main game of Dorfmantic. So if you do have that, that enables you to actually get more out of getting the smaller box too, which I think is really cool. This has also, I think, been a year of really good, quick, clean playing games that are really fun, but in very different ways. So things like Flip 7. I think Flip 7 has been, it's just brilliant. You've got cards numbered 1 to 12. There is 1 number 1, 2 number 2s, 3 number 3s, 12 number 12s. All you're going to do is ask someone to give you a card, or you can pass and get the points you've got already. You'll get a card. If it's the same as a previous number you've had, you will go bust, and everyone else gets to keep going. It's first to 200 points. And it's just so clean. It just plays well. Literally anyone could play it. I had such a good time with Flip 7 this year. I wouldn't hesitate to say Da Da Da. Da 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 is hilariously fun, where you are saying stupid words at each other basically and trying to put them in definitions without being able to explain what those definitions are. When we have people playing it in the shop, they end up looking at each other and someone going, meep, blur. And other people going, meep, blur, blur, zip, blur. I have no other way that I'm going to explain it. I actually think that explains it pretty well. But it is a huge amount of fun, cooperative, that you're playing as well. There's been a lot of smaller independent games that have come through as well. Highlight would be Muster, which is a 2-player sort of battle line almost game. A little bit like, if anyone knows, Shot and Totten or something like that, but with big gay wizards, which is great. But also, it's a beautiful and colorful game with some very clever card-based mechanics based upon symbols that are there, trying to have sets of things higher than your opponents on either side. Really clever 2-player game, and also relatively locally made, or at least in the UK. It's made down in London, which is great. Yeah, loads and loads of things. There are so many that I will have missed. Earthborn Rangers finally came out this year, which is wonderful to see. Old King's Crown, as we mentioned already, was a brilliant addition to games as a whole and absolutely beautiful. And I've been speaking about games pretty much non-stop now for about a certain amount of time.
Yeah, great.
I want to know, 1, what you've been playing, and 2, what game are you planning on other people playing this year?
So I've been playing mostly the games that you hoist onto me. So that hasn't really been a great year for a lot of new games from my perspective.
I've been doing a lot of hoisting.
Ones that I've gotten. I've been playing quite a bit of things like Trio. Really quick games. Skull King. Love both of those trick-taking game. Aspens just came in the mail, and that's Ludivore Games. They are based in Colorado, I think, and they just did a Kickstarter, and that's just fulfilled. And then there's
lots of tiny trees.
Lots of tiny trees, exactly. Really interesting how they also went about that as a production, but just interesting. Then there was Hold Please. Your
podcast is important to us. Please stay on the line and we will have a podcast ready for you shortly.
Parts and Potions by Moonsaga Workshop, that came out. Both very beautiful looking games. I've been doing a lot of playtesting for Aster, and then its follow-up game, which is called Terras, and been, playing some local designers games. We've been doing, a lot of playtest nights over at the workshop, so I've been playing a lot of in-progress games, including one about teeth, which I know you saw.
I did. I think
very
it looks
exciting.
great. I love the idea. You're all tooth fairies in a Victorian orphanage trying to take all of the kids' teeth, but they may wake up and then their teeth you're going to dirty other people's teeth. This is a very, very early version.
Yeah.
So you're going to dirty other people's teeth. And to clean teeth, you throw magical spiders in there and they clean the teeth for. I think it's a great idea, and I think thematically it's awesome.
The designer, Helen, she has a very unique mind. Just I think it's great.
There's so many really interesting local games being made, and I think those are ones, not only Aster, which I'm very excited by, coming next year, which is going to be very, very cool. Terras is also looking great. But there's a few other ones by local people. Can't wait for Rat King to come out. We had Dylan. Yep. We also have Courtiers that's looking great by Tim, which is we'll hopefully get on at some point. Pivot.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that's going to be great. And then, of course, Judson's Even Deeper Regrets,
which I've been lucky enough to play as a playtest. I don't know if you have, but it is Even Deeper. Wait, no. That's just the name. It is filled with even deeper regrets and has some cool. It introduces a new location that you can go to, which is quite fun.
Yeah, that's looking great. That won't be too long till it's out. And also Judson's next game, Personal Demons, which is looking cool.
Yes,
and there may be some more things coming out from Iriodo Games, which I don't think we're allowed to talk about yet. But keep an eye out for them. And I think their new Kickstarter for the next expansion and printing is coming up soon for more stuff for Old King's Crown. It's looking great.
And then on the RPG side, we have Triple Cast Games is doing their Kickstarter. I think by the time this comes out, it would have just ended. We have there are a whole bunch of different local folks pumping out a whole bunch of really cool stuff. So the RPG section in Ancient Robot will not be large enough to showcase all of the cool local folks.
It is devastating that dimensional portals don't exist that will allow me to put in all of the stock that I want to get into the shop.
Time idiots.
We stack it as full as we can, but unfortunately, never full enough for me.
Well, I think this has been a pretty good holiday episode.
I feel quite festive, for sure. I've been enjoying it. I feel stuffed with games.
Stuffed?
Is that stuffing? That's a pun?
Sure.
Does that work?
Sure.
I don't know. I feel a bit like a turkey.
Feel like a turkey?
Feel like a turkey?
Yeah.
That's really, our goal is just to have Ryan laugh here.
Yeah.
That's the main thing.
To be quite honest.
Oh, great. So we're not funny.
Yeah.
We were never funny. We knew that. That's fine. I think it was very successful. I think it was a great 2025, really, for board games and RPGs and all sorts of designers, creators. It's wonderful to see more and more people getting into it and more cool stuff coming out.
Yeah.
That's really the big joy.
Cool.
So thank you all very much for joining us this year on the podcast. Those of you who have, those of you who haven't, well, you won't be listening to us. So I think we'll be totally okay with that too.
I care not a jot.
You shall have coal in thine stocking.
Go and play your bridges and your whists.
Thank you all very much for joining us on this truly ridiculous holiday podcast episode. As always, I have been Dougal.
And I continue to be Gelb.
And this has been edited by Ryan Scott, the guy who's laughing in the background.
Hey. Sorry, guys.
It's a drunk Mr. T.
I let the tea down. Do I still get paid?